The road stretched endlessly ahead, bordered on one side by nondescript factories, their tall chimneys churning out plumes of gray against the dusk sky. It was a sight that stirred something within Roman. "You know," he started, his voice edged with a trace of nostalgia, "passing these factories reminds me of the early days. There was this new recruit I once trained. Lila, I think her name was. Bright-eyed, brimming with ideas. She reminded me so much of myself when I was her age." Julia tilted her head, eyes narrowing slightly as she tried to recall the name. "Lila, the one with the short, raven-black hair." "That's the one," Roman nodded. "Came in like a whirlwind, wanting to change everything. She had this passion. She was going to make a difference," she said. He let out a chuckle, tinged with an unmistakable bitterness. But passion can sometimes blind you to dangers, especially in a place like the glass factory. Julia leaned back, taking a deep breath. "You always took that safety role seriously, didn't you? Sometimes I think you cared more about the workers than the bosses ever did." "I had to," Roman replied, a hard edge to his voice. "With all the corners they cut, all the rules they wanted to bend for some extra bucks. Someone had to watch out for the little guys." There was a pause, and Julia nudged. "Tell me about Lila." He sighed. "I remember the day I was showing her the ropes. Literally. She was so eager to learn, absorbing every detail. But I could see she wasn't happy with some of the outdated equipment. She once told me, 'Why don't we revolutionize the place? Mr. Roman?' Always so formal with that mister. Even though I told her a million times just to call me Roman. And I warned her, Jules. I told her that this isn't some tech startup where you innovate every other week. Factories, especially ones like ours, they have their own rhythm, their own pace. You change one thing too quickly, and it can have a ripple effect." He clenched the steering wheel, but she had her own ideas, convinced that she could make things better. The silence that followed was dense, only punctuated by the hum of the RV engine. "You did your best, Roman," Julia finally whispered, laying a gentle hand on his arm. He nodded, more to himself than to her. "I did, but sometimes even your best isn't enough. Not when you're up against a system that values profit over people." The factories in the distance gradually receded, replaced by open fields. Yet the shadows of the past remained, looming large in the confines of the RV.